Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today's layout is for Scrap the Boys, and it's for our September challenge, which went live today, and that is to be inspired by this graphic here on screen, which I absolutely love. I love anything to do with rainbows and rainbow colours, so this was right up my street. So I wanted to do something slightly different. I didn't want to just have a rainbow on my page. So I'm going to be inspired by the colours of the rainbow and the way it kind of spreads across the image from left to right. So I've kind of sketched out some sections here on a scrap piece of paper just to kind of plot out my idea, and I've decided it's going to work, so I'm going to roll with it. So I'm going to cut a diagonal strip of patterned paper from 6 different coloured papers from the collection. So I love these papers. They're not solid colours, they've all got patterns on them, and they're just absolutely stunning and just lend themselves really well to a rainbow layout. So I'm going to have purple, blue, kind of a turquoisey colour, green, yellow and pink. And I'm just going to take some time to cut each of those strips out. And then once I've got all of those strips ready and cut out, I'm going to distress all the edges. I skipped through most of that because it's a bit repetitive, but I'm using a edge distressing tool, and I've just gone through each strip and distressed the 2 long edges, but not the 2 kind of shorter ends. I want them to finish kind of flush to the edge of my page. So that's kind of how my layout is going to come together. I'm going to have the rainbow colours going across my page from left to right in a similar fashion to the rainbow on the inspiration graphic, but it's kind of not in your traditional rainbow shape. I'm going to stick these down flat. I do like to have a lot of dimension on my layouts, but I obviously can't have too much. So I'm going to stick these coloured strips down flat and then build in the dimension with my photos and embellishments. So I'm just using double-sided tape for this. And I'm leaving a little bit of a gap in between each one just to let that white cardstock show through a bit. They would never match up 100% completely because I've distressed all the edges, so this just helps to show the texture that those distressed edges has created by having that little gap. I'm really loving how this is looking already. These papers are absolutely stunning and just work so well for a rainbow layout. I'm just using my thumbs there just to distress the edges a bit further and have a bit more of that white showing through. It just helps to add a bit of texture and a bit more interest to the page than just having kind of flat stripes across the page. So then once those are in place, I'm going to bring some clouds in because the inspiration graphic has got some clouds in the sky. These are sort of negative parts from a cut file by Pear Tree Cut Files. If I ever need clouds, I'm a bit useless at drawing clouds freehand, so I always pick out one of Marie's cut files that has clouds and just cut the clouds out. So I've done that here, and I've cut several in different sizes, and I'm just using that edge distressing tool again to distress the edges. Because I'm not going to have any colour on the top half of my layout, I wanted them to stand out. If it'd be white on white, so with the distressed edge, it's going to help those stand out a bit, create a tiny bit of shadowing, a bit more interest, and it will just help them be a bit more visible on the page. And then I had this green patterned paper torn strip just in with my collection. I've obviously got it left over from another layout that I've made, but it worked perfectly on here because in the inspiration graphic you've got the grass going along at the bottom. So I thought I would add that on here as a kind of nod to that and feel like it helps to bring something down to the bottom of the page there. So I've stuck my clouds down, some of them flat with double-sided tape and some of them I've raised up and overlapped on foam pads, again to bring in just some of that dimension that I love. And then I'm going to carry on with building the dimension. I've put some foam behind my photos. I'm I'm going to have those situated in the middle there. And these are just photos of my little boy playing in the park. He'd been a bit poorly, so he hadn't been out for a while. And after a visit to the doctor's surgery, he spotted a playground that we've never actually been in before. And he was begging me to go over there, so we went over for a little bit, and I just thought that was really nice photos to go with a rainbow layout, kind of the rainbow at the end of the storm, if you like. He hadn't been out for so long that it was nice for him to be able to get out and enjoy himself, and it was actually quite nice weather, so it was quite a nice afternoon. And I've printed them black and white just to help them stand out against this rainbow, these bright colours. The colours in the photo didn't match the rainbow colours at all, so they do look much nicer in black and white. Now I want to add some splatters to those rainbow stripes. I've watered down some white gesso for this. I find that works better than my white acrylic paint, which dries not quite invisible. It's a bit like translucent. It's just not very white, whereas my white gesso seems to dry a lot whiter. So I use that for my splatters. And even though I covered my photos, I still managed to get white splatters all over my little boy's head. So I'm just trying to get that off with a baby wipe. And then I'm also going to add some gold splatters. This Color Study collection has got hints of gold in it. The foiled vellum is gold. Some of the ephemera has touches of gold in, and I find gold works really well. So this is just a metallic gold acrylic paint. I've just watered that down on some acetate, and again just adding some splatters to that background. I really feel like that adds just so much more interest and kind of gives those rainbow stripes a bit more of a almost grungy feel to them, which I just think it just looks so nice on these papers because they already have kind of a subtle pattern on them anyway. The splatters on top, I just really love that effect. And then I've just got a bag here of goodies that I have fussy cut from previous layouts. So I cut up that whole sheet of butterflies, and I'm just slowly working my way through the bag. And also that foiled vellum sheet I mentioned, I cut all of the circles out of that right back when I got this collection, so I'm still going through those. I also used the leftover part of that foiled vellum. It's got a gold foiled grid pattern on it, and it seems such a shame to waste that and throw it away, so I've punched some circles from that and used those in the same way as well. So I've just tucked some of those either side of my photo, and I've decided I'm going to build a cluster down the bottom as well. So I've added some kind of behind my grass, and obviously I've got those butterflies I've pulled in as well. And I wanted this this piece here, this So Excited piece, to be my title. It's from one of the ephemera packs. I loved that it was black and white and that it really jumped out off the page, and my little boy was so excited to have been able to play in the park after so long away. But I just was struggling with placement for it. It just didn't really sit nicely, and I was struggling to embellish around it. So although it stays there for now, it does go in the end. You can see I'm struggling with looking for things to embellish this layout. A lot of the ephemera in this collection is really, really large, and I do struggle with large ephemera. So a lot of it will probably end up being trimmed down or sort of tucked behind photos. But I'm desperately trying to go through and pick out some things, and I think that title was just putting me off. So I go through each pack several times in the end before settling on what I want to use. I have pulled out some kind of word labels I've got over on the right there, and I do end up using a couple of those. So I'm done with the ephemera packs, and I'm now going through the sticker sheet and the kind of chipboard stickers. Again, just trying to see what I can pull out. I've got this gorgeous rainbow arrow here that again has gold foil on it that I absolutely love, so I really want to try and get that in. I try and add that strip along the bottom there because it was green but didn't really look right, so that got vetoed as well. So it did take me a while to embellish this layout. I think also I didn't want to cover up those lovely colourful stripes, so I was trying to pick small things, which are obviously with the Vicki Boutin collection aren't a lot of. This colour wheel here, this viewfinder, was from one of the tags on one of the pattern papers. I'd used the top section of the tag on another layout and had that left over. So I've just trimmed around that, and I'm going to tuck it in behind my photos. Getting my butterflies and my vellum circles stuck in place now, because I'm happy with the placement of those. And with butterflies, I only ever stick the bodies down. I leave the wings kind of flapping loose just to add a bit more dimension, and it kind of makes them look a bit more realistic as well. I find it looks like they are actually flying and landing on the layout. So adding foam pads behind things, again to bring in that dimension that I love so much, and distressing the edge of that viewfinder. And then I've got the sticker book here. I'm just going to go through that and have a little look, see what I can use. It's a gorgeous piece here. It's a pack of crayons. It says colour outside the lines, and I thought that describes my son pretty well. So I stuck that to some white cardstock and just cut around it, just to make it a bit more kind of solid, and in case I decided I didn't like it there and I wanted to move it, at least it's not stuck down to anything at this time. And then I pulled out one of these stickers. They're kind of translucent. It took me a long time to get it off the backing, and it says all this happiness. And again, I'm going to stick that onto white cardstock and cut around that, just because I'm not 100% sure on if I want it or where I want it at the moment. So again, just going to cut that out. And in the end, I decided to use this as my title piece instead, and I get rid of the So Excited. I just felt like it worked a bit better, and I still love the sentiment of it. Like, he was very happy to be playing in the park, so it worked really well on the layout. But I was really struggling with that So Excited piece, as much as I love it, and I loved the black and white look on it. But I'm just going to use this as my title down the bottom, and that's going to help me build up that bottom cluster there as well. I'm still trying to go and make that So Excited work, but oh, what am I doing? Oh, here we go. This is where I try and move this about, trying to bring my title up there, and decide I prefer it down the bottom. And then I just go through these kind of like a puffy sticker titles, seeing if any of those would work as a title. And then I think at this point I have decided that So Excited is not going to make it onto the layout. So I've got some of the tags here from a patterned paper, and I'm going to instead have a couple of those tucked under the bottom of my photos, hanging down. And that's going to help to bring a bit more of that colour down to that bottom section, and it will help kind of bridge the gap between the photos and that bottom cluster as well. At the moment it's just sort of sat there at the bottom on its own, so this will help kind of join it all together. So Excited, it's still coming back in. So I'm happy with the placement of those tags. I've distressed the edges of those as well, and just getting the ends of those stuck down on foam pads. I definitely want to use this arrow. I'm just trying to find the best place for it at the moment, and I decide it's going to stay down the bottom there. And I'm just pulling out some black embroidery thread. This is just 6-strand embroidery thread. I got a whole pack of it on Amazon about a year ago. I think it had like 100 different colours in it. So I keep a box on my desk of kind of the colours I reach for the most, and then I've got a bag in my drawers with the rest in, because there's rather a lot of it. But I've picked out black, and I'm just going to thread it through the hole there and then trim it down. So it kind of almost looks like hanging tassels once I've trimmed it down, but it just helps to bring a bit more of that black into the layout as well. And again, it's drawing that top part of the layout down to that bottom cluster. And then just adding some glossy accents over the kind of knots there, just to make sure they don't come undone at any time, kind of once it's in my album. And I've added a couple of the puffy heart stickers, again just extending that cluster down. And now I'm working with those labels I pulled out from one of the ephemera packs. I think I only used 2 in the end. The green one says The Best of Times, and the kind of turquoisey teal one says Real Life Right Now. And I've just popped those in place under my photos there. And I think I'm almost done now. I'm going to add some splatters of black acrylic paint. I'm just watering it down again just to make it a bit more easy to splatter. I'm going to cover my photos, and I'm just going to go to town a bit on some black splatters, having some slightly larger than others. just to kind of spread the black around, because I've got the black and white photos, I've got the black in the title at the bottom, and then obviously those butterflies are quite heavy on the black. So I just feel like this, the black splatters just help to spread it around and just bring all the layout together. And I think that is the last thing I do. I only made this layout last night and I've forgotten already. Yeah, I think that is me finished at this point. So thank you very, very much for joining me today. Please do check out the Scrap the Boys Facebook group if you'd like to play along with this challenge and post your layout in the group. You can read all the details about it on the blog, and obviously find all the design team layouts on the blog as well. So until next month, I shall leave it there, and I'll leave you with the close-ups. But thanks again for joining me.